What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and welcome back to another video guide. In today's video is going to be the latest raid boss in the global version of the game. We are going to be fighting two tunneler enemies, I guess, or boss, whatever you want to call it. But before we do start this video, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel and I would really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's start this video. Now, as always, we'll start this off in how you're gonna deal with the Lufenia orb, which starts the start of the battle and will disappear once you hit less than 80% of the boss's HP, and will reappear once again when you hit less than 50% of their HP. You get 2 Lufenia orb counters when you use an ability with instant turn rate. So characters like obviously Tidus can do this, Queen can do this as well, Tifa, Terra, and Core can do this as well. And as for how the fight works, again, there is another recast ability that you will have to deal with in this particular fight. This will remove your party's entire buffs and will deliver an AoE Brave plus HP attack, and will also ignore HP damage effects such as, nullifying HP damage and such like that. This will also be a guaranteed hit, so be careful and make sure you're not broken and you're topped up. They can also inflict a HP poison debuff, and they are immune to their own debuff, so you can't cheese this fight. Unfortunately, they are also immune to elemental imperil, so that is not going to work. They will also get this blue aura, which will make them immune to delay and knockback as well. They will gain massive braves when they hit less than 80%, 60%, and 20% of their HP, and will also have a high brave damage reduction after casting their recast ability. Alright guys, now you know what the fight is like. How are you going to be dealing with this fight? First of all, well, they have the melee weakness, so take advantage of this and overall increase your output for your damage. The boss does get the blue aura, as I mentioned, and letting them have a turn will actually remove this buff. Now there is sort of like a caveat to this, which obviously when they use their recast ability, they increase, they have a high brave damage reduction, which personally I didn't experience here in the global version. However, I do remember to some extent in the JP version when I first did this that I was doing quite a low amount of damage. So honestly speaking, the best strategy here is to just not let the boss have a turn, and that's the whole point of this fight. It takes advantage of what Tidus can do, which actually have a lot of instant turn rate attacks, and having other characters like Tifa will do a lot of damage as well is definitely something you really want to consider, and I honestly believe is the best way to deal with this fight. Now obviously tank and healers will still definitely help you out in this case, especially with the HP damage mitigation and recovery, but I still feel from the bottom of my heart that the best way to deal with this fight is not to let the boss have any turns at all. Alright guys, now let's move on to the characters that you can bring. Once again, you can just pause this screen and it's just a whole list of characters. Honestly, there's nothing really that's stopping you from using any characters that you have built up in this fight. The biggest thing here is obviously trying to get the Lufenia orb counter going, which is the instant turn rate. Alright guys, now let's move on to the cult characters, which I think is probably, a good part of your strategies nowadays. Jack is immensely good in this fight, seeing as the boss actually have a brave damage reduction kind of aura, and the later you go down the track, when your damage starts to fall off, Jack's debuff actually is really good and increases your overall brave damage. Fujin is still okay with the auras. Kryle, again, unfortunately you cannot imperil, use elemental imperil. However, Kryle can still use the her LD which can paralyze the boss. Cloud, the Lion, they're still really good call abilities, Warrior of Light can really save you here if you do have his LD. Plus, I think having Hope as your call ability can actually help you out here with your magic base characters. So if you do have Hope's LD, you can consider using him, and you can imperil the enemies with the magic imperil. So that is something you can consider since you can't use elemental imperils. Alright guys, now let's take a look at some party compositions. So obviously the first recommendation is going to be the team that I went with in this video: Tidus, Cloud of Darkness, and Core. The call team, Jack, Tifa, and I would replace Kurosame with either Warrior of Light or Paladin Cecil, or even Porum in this case. For some reason, Kurosame's hero debuff doesn't apply to them. I'm not entirely sure as to why. Maybe it's because it has ice resist attached to the debuff. I'm not entirely sure, but it just didn't work, so I would just replace that, which I found very weird. But in any case, the support I went with is Cloud of Darkness, obviously, and Ramuh for my summon, just, you know, for the paralysis, just in case. And as you guys can guess, this team basically takes advantage of all the off-turn damage. Now, as for the second team, it's kind of the same, with the removal of Cloud of Darkness in your main team and adding Aerith there just for the heals, just in case. Once again, Warrior of Light, Jack are very helpful here, just in case. And you know, Jack can definitely increase your overall brave damage. Porum's just for extra support, and Cloud of Darkness once again for your friend support, and Ramuh for your summon. Now, the last team I have for you guys is going to be Terra, Queen, and Core. Taking advantage of, again, with Core having Terra and Queen as well, who can have some, some instant turn rate, is definitely going to help with your overall damage. Cole team, Jack, Warrior of Light, and Iroha for this one. I added Iroha here just because, you know, if you actually use Iroha on Core, and you know, you can take advantage a lot of advantage from that, you know, for his brave not going down to 0, and you know, regaining the brave back, so you get a little bit more out of that. Cloud of Darkness once again for the support, and Ramuh for the summon. Alright guys, we're finally towards the end of this video, and of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts regarding this fight. Overall, the fight itself for me wasn't too bad. A little bit later down the track, you know, my damage started to fall off because I actually didn't have any supportive characters in my team. I went with full on like damage dealing team. So to a certain extent, I guess Tidus can, with his debuffs, you know, was giving me extra damage. But overall, I didn't have any, you know, supportive, like maybe Porum, who can have some brave recovery and such like that. And I still didn't have any issues. Obviously my damage started falling off. I had to use Jack as my call, and that really helped a lot overall with the amount of damage. I wasn't hitting, you know, 999 or my max most of the time, but it was still enough for me to actually clear the fight. If I would change something, then maybe I would probably change and adding like a supportive character, and maybe taking Cloud of Darkness off to a certain extent there. But overall, the fight itself can be pretty difficult if you do let the boss have a turn, if you want to do this the quote-unquote proper way. So it's up to you, but I highly recommend not letting the bosses have any turns at all. Even with that blue aura, it's not as if they're, you know, completely going to be difficult to, you know, take a lot of damage off that. The blue aura itself will just make them immune to like the delay, and obviously they will increase their stats up as well. But I think even without the delay, because of the instant turn rates that you should take advantage of anyway, it is quite enough to you know, overall cancel out whether you can or cannot delay. So I would highly suggest trying to delay at the start of the fight when they don't have, like, you know, the blue aura just yet. But that is basically it, guys. I would probably put this somewhere in the middle ground, especially if, and can go up to like very hard if you don't actually take advantage of, you know, the instant turn rates and making sure that the boss have a turn. So that is it for this video. Please do remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel, and I would really appreciate it if you share this video as well to other Dffoo players who are just starting off and having difficulty clearing Lufenia fights. And hopefully this video can help them clear their first one and eventually can move on to my other videos if they are still struggling on those Lufenia fights. You can always follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming. Of course, leave down in the comments below if you have a different team that I have recommended here. Obviously, there's a lot of characters to choose from. I would really like to hear from you guys what kind of strategy you ended up using, or if you struggled, let me know, and hopefully I can help you out. If there's anything that I might have missed, you can leave them down in the comments below as well. This is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next level.